Hey, glad you can make it. Welcome to Fantasy Dad Pods, where dad bods are glorified and dad jokes are encouraged. I'm JT, accompanied by Sean. Sean, how we doing?
We doing good. We're doing good. Everybody's basically back. Your man caved and demanded drugs from a doctor and couldn't handle the sickness anymore. So I'm on my regimen of steroids. Here we go. We're over halfway done. We're feeling good. We're feeling strong. Yeah, I can finally sleep, not coughing, no runny nose. I sound a lot better. Here we go. Here we go. We're as you could probably imagine, nothing has changed. We didn't do anything because I was still sick last weekend. So this week has just been getting back to routine. So oldest at Taekwondo, youngest is still needs to be in Taekwondo because he's still a bully at school. Literally, as my wife was picking him up today, she was just telling me a story. She was like, "Oh," his teacher was like, "Oh, he did so good today. He was so good with the kids." And as they're talking about him, watching him, they watched him stand up, walk over to the kid, and push him over just for no reason. And they're like, as they're complimenting how good he was that day, it couldn't have. And they all just start laughing because they're like, "Oh, you can't do that." But it was like as we were complimenting him, it happened. So that's the two kiddos. Nothing else crazy to report other than that. Yeah, because hopefully we'll be able to do some more things once the house gets off the IL here. We'll get to that in a second. But how about you?
Well, I have a question about the steroids. Like, how long is the prescription for?
6 days, and it started with 6 pills in the first day, and it's
Wow.
gone one less each day, which is like for the little OCD in me, it really is nice to watch it go down by one at a time too. Because if it like skipped and went to two, I'd been like, I can't do this. But like it's going down by one each day.
Oh, it's pill form. I'm not familiar with those. More heard of the cream and the clears
The
and stuff
clears,
like that.
yes, yes. I all about that. Seen the documentaries about cream and clear and all that jazz. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it's
The
the
Velcro. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, 'tis the season, baseball season, best shape of your life kind of season. So,
It,
like, are you pumping iron as you get your like lung capacity
get my
back?
strength back. So the craziest part is I have this I do Peloton, and so they had like these programs that you could do in it in like 6 weeks, and I signed up for a 6 week one, knowing probably at some point I was gonna get sick during it. Got sick during the last couple weeks of it, but I still managed to get all my workouts in. Effort was definitely not what it was in the beginning of it as much. Like I'd be lifting and I was like, I got like half the energy I had when I was healthy and going, but I did them also. But this week it's like I got to go a little easier this week on the workouts because 6 weeks of doing strength workouts, I'm like, okay, let the body recover for a week. Let's get back to something else. So not maximizing my steroid usage right now as much as I probably should, but maybe we'll get some extras from the doc on the outside the back of Rite Aid and get some steroids, the good steroids out back of there, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I need you to channel your inner Lance Jr. I mean, you're Pelotoning and you're steroiding. You should be in the Tour de France this summer.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, I really
kind
well. I
of
use I
disappointed.
use EPO really more the the red blood cells than actually the roids. But
It's a buildup. It's a climb to that. That's when you're there in France, and it's
that's
probably
true.
easier in Europe. But like, you got to get physically. You got to pack on some mass. Like,
Shout out to our buddy Tim Richard. When the Mariners were struggling and people were getting popped for steroids, he's like, sounds like just the Mariners should have been trying cheating more. Like they should do something
right?
because you're getting
Yeah,
left behind. Like so, yeah, you're right. I guess I gotta not cheating enough. What's 38's the new 37's the new 20. I hear.
yeah.
Am
Just
I
saying.
37? We're at the point now where I genuinely don't know. That's the point we're at. I don't know if you know. Honestly, I think this podcast is most of the time where I realize how old I am because I'm looking at players' ages. But if it wasn't for that, I'd be like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, and I'd have to think
What
about it legitimately for a
whatevs?
second.
It's just a number.
Yeah. Once you're beyond like, if it's a milestone, it's like a nice round number, like a 3 or a 4, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like other than that, you're just like, it's another year. It is what it is. Something
Yeah.
else hurts, you know. But what about you? I know basketball's ended, right? And then baseball's starting.
Yeah, our last game was on Saturday. Early game, we had the quote unquote bring the snacks. and then the assistant coach is like family kid, um, was bringing the drinks, and I said, "Hey, heads up, I'm bringing the donuts because it's 8 a.m. games be done
Yeah.
at 9. I'm bringing the donuts." He's like, "All right, bet I'm bringing the Sunny D." I was like, "Sweet." So we did that, teamed up on that one. It was a really good game. Their team was not ready for a morning game. They had 6 kids at the start of the game, and about 10 minutes in, another 2 trickled in. And then about, I don't know, almost right before halftime, this kid walks in the gym. He's wearing the same color shirt, jersey, if you will,
Yeah, yeah.
as we're playing. And I walk over to my assistant coach. I go, "That kid's a 4th grader?" And he's like, "No, that's got to be same school, different age
Yeah,
group."
yeah, one of those, yeah.
No, kid like was tying his shoes real quick, walked right by us, went over, sat on the bench, and he pretty much played most of the second half.
He looked down at you guys as he walked by? Like one of those?
I could tell he shaved that morning and still had
Yeah,
a 5 o'clock shadow
yeah,
at eight
yeah.
twenty.
At 8 in the morning,
Yeah.
yeah.
He was no, he looked like Fluffy the comedian was his
Yes,
uncle. He was
yes,
just a big kid, and he knew how to use the body because literally there's no like throwing the key or anything.
yeah,
He's just standing under the hoop like somebody hook this thing up. I'm grabbing it. Like
yeah,
that's how I make my living.
yeah.
I know who I am. I know my role. So
Get buckets. Yep.
right.
Yeah.
Um, we had a movie night the night before that last week, so that was kind of cool. At the school, like they do that occasionally. That was fun. So shout out Wild Robot. I had already seen it, but I thought it was really good. So it was nice
Heard
watching
it's
it
good. Heard
again.
it's good. Yeah.
Yep. Proud parent moment. Ironically, both the kids won the character trait of the month for February, which
Okay.
was honesty, which honestly I didn't really understand or see coming.
See,
But I'm like, I guess brutally honest falls under
that's
honesty.
true.
So,
That's
so
true.
that was cool. Invited the grandparents, shows up like it's assembly right at the beginning of school. They get their little award, and so that was a cool moment for them. Um, and then otherwise, yeah, we had baseball tryouts. We were gonna do it this upcoming weekend, but then the weather was so nice, and the oldest was like, "Hey, I want to try out." Last week on Friday, he was like, "I want to try out tomorrow," and I'm just like, we talked about all these skills and drills, and like we've been doing some, but like I still feel like you could benefit from an extra week's worth of like just focusing on baseball, getting in a good half-hour session after schoolwork every that I would. But if you feel like you're ready, and mom was like, "Well, if he's ready, he's ready, and the weather's going to be nice, and he should just do it." I'm like, "All right, I don't want to be a bummer about this thing, but like," and then I'm like scrambling for any type of excuse, and I'm like, "Okay, I don't have any good excuse other than you don't have cleats that fit your feet,
Yeah,
and
well,
you're not going to try out without cleats on. You're on a baseball field for the tryouts." So of course, we pulled a string and got like cleats that we found out another friend's kid was getting rid of that were the perfect size. So he tried out. Tale of two stories. If you asked him how it went, he's like, I did awesome. It was great. And if you ask me how I went, and if I'm being brutally honest character trait
yeah,
of the
character trait
evening,
of the month.
I'm just like,
Wait, was it
showed
a
up.
month of February you said?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
what they did the pre okay, okay. I got you. I
yeah.
got you. Okay.
I say you got a lot of room for improvement if I was trying to say something nice about it. So he got 3 ground balls at shortstop. He missed all 3 right through his legs. He hustled. He grabbed it short left field, and he threw it on a laser, not Ichiro, but pretty good
Pretty
laser
good.
to first. So, and hit what he says, "I got to show off my arm." And I was like, that's one way to put it. You did technically.
Yeah.
And then 2 fly balls. He caught one. He bobbled one. But again, laser to second base. And I was like, "What'd you think about that?" And he goes, "I listened and I knew what the drill was, and I tried my best in it, and
Okay.
it was a little bit breezy." I was like,
Well, I've also found
whatever.
out that outfield is just not for some people too. Either you kind of got it or you kind of don't.
It was
Like,
it, it was a little tricky.
yeah,
Sometimes they were backspin in the ball, and sometimes it was a
yeah,
top spin, and it was
yeah,
it was because but I mean, it was still out of a pitching machine. So I'm like, how is it that inconsistent? It's kind of weird.
Well, I just referenced him, Tim. Tim, good baseball player, but just could not. He's told me for a long time. He's like, I didn't get the outfield, whereas I spent most of my time in the outfield.
Yeah.
So it was just like, I think reading a ball is just there's you can work at obviously, but like there's a lot for a lot of kids who just are not elite athletes or something like that. It's you kind of have it or you don't.
Right.
It's just so I've seen a lot of guys who are like, man, that guy is like a great athlete playing all over the diamond, and then you get him out there and he's like, I don't know, the ball's hit, and he's just like, I don't know, like so bobbling, getting both gloves on the ball, I think is a win, honestly.
Yeah, and then 5 pitches, he's like, I made contact with each one of them. I'm like, you did. I will totally give you credit. You fouled off 3 off a pitching machine. Whatever.
Yeah.
You hit a solid ground ball, and you hit a line drive. Like in one of the gaps. And so I was just like, overall, I'm like, I think an extra week we could have really tightened up that ground ball work at shortstop, but otherwise I think you did fine.
Yeah.
But in terms of there was like almost 60 10-year-olds trying out, and then there was somewhere in the 40s for 9-year-olds, and he's age 9-year-old. And I just think by the sheer numbers, I think he'll probably just repeat a AA kid, the first level kid pitch, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
And I'm okay. I'm really okay with either because they're pretty much virtually the same between AAA and AA for Little League. So, anyways, yes, baseball's in full swing, and so are we. But before we get to starting pitchers this evening,
don't swing it because you'll hurt yourself.
You're oblique. It is oblique. Like the Grim Reaper's knocking on the door and he's taking your oblique.
I thought it was like supposed to be best shape of your season. Is it best oblique shape of your season?
Like, don't forget to work out your rib cage muscles. Stop,
We're always so the one thing we do at the end of workouts is how do you finish, JT, in your workout?
Shock the traps.
But right before that, you gotta get the obliques.
You get in some of the summer crunches, like for the girls.
The best part about this is not an audio podcast, but we were both doing oblique stretches on the audio, and it was for no one other than the two of us. But yeah, you gotta do those, then you shock the traps to finish. But you never forget the obliques. Got to.
So yeah, Gunnar Henderson intercostal strain, mild. We'll see how it goes. He kind of had this kind of last year, if you remember. So he totally had an amazing season. So mild, I'm okay for now.
Young buck, get some butt slaps. Let's get out there.
Yeah, Westberg lower back. Oh well. Adolis, not really sure yet. And it wasn't like, oh, he injured it and got pulled. He just came before the game and it's like, hey, manager, I'm pretty tight in my oblique area. They're like, oh, well, let's scratch it and get an MRI. So it seems kind of innocent enough. But but then Wyatt Langford, mild oblique strain, batting practice. He's ready to go. It's kind of what Bochy, I guess, quoted.
Yeah.
Christian Walker, left oblique soreness.
Again, just prior to the game, we no more details really other than that specifics.
Yeah, Sean Murphy, that's a bummer.
Cracked his rib, 4 to 6.
Hit by a pitch. So I hope
that talking about it as a bounce back and bounced one off the rib cage there.
Yeah, hopefully the pitcher sends flowers or some type of. Was it what's St. Patrick's Day? Cabbage and roast beef or whatever.
No Irish in me at all.
Some type of gift.
I know nothing about that. Yeah.
Luis Gil lat strain. I mean, reigning AL rookie pitcher of the year, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of a bummer.
At least 6 weeks. A lot throwing for 6 weeks. So
yeah.
That's that. I mean, and then who knows after that? So that's really plummets. We'll get to that later. That honestly lowers this quite a bit. Yeah. Stanton, again, fringe either way. I don't think we even mentioned him. Obviously DH only, but
it wouldn't be spring training if Stanton wasn't on the injury report somewhere. It's not baseball.
This is what we talked about. Like on paper, Yankees, you said, oh, you could be convinced that they, 2019, it's a fantastic team. But like, what is going to happen in 2025? So, and here's the first domino. So, and Dili LeMahieu, 2019, tweaked left calf. I don't know.
At this point with Stanton, sorry, not to belabor the point, but I'd be totally okay if they just listed his name, Giancarlo Stanton. Like,
Yeah.
injury report. We not enough said. It'd be like a hockey, upper body, lower body. No, just Stanton body injury.
Just Stanton. Or like that could be the new thing. Sorry, Stan, you won an MVP. You're okay. But and made a lot of money. Just be like, if someone's just like generalized hurt, it's called the Stanton from now on. You did something.
Mm-hmm.
You just
Yeah. I was talking to my buddy who kind of was talking about how we coached Little League together last year, and he's kind of like, I kind of fell in love with baseball again. I kind of forgot how much I really enjoyed it, and we were talking about, I don't know, we went down a rabbit hole, and then we were talking about I'm like greatest modern day outfield that like I've kind of witnessed, and I'm like, I'm kind of gravitating towards that Miami outfield that had Stanton, Yelich, and Ozuna.
They didn't reach their peak of this with Miami,
Yeah.
but like when they separated, yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
sure. Like like all guys who played together, yeah. That's man, Miami. What happened?
I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
That team would have Fernandez too. Gosh, like oh man, would have been a good team.
What Devers' shoulder might start as a DH, which is kind of ironic.
With all that whole hullabaloo, Corbin Carroll, lower back tightness.
Yeah.
No, nothing more other than that.
Just looking for the big names.
Yeah, no other updates other than players are getting back.
Parker Meadows is just kind of sad because it's a nerve kind of damage, and so it's just kind of like this could be a like lifetime. This could be just random.
Was the other person that did that reminds me is Strasburg, right? Who has that?
Yeah.
That damage, that nerve damage to his arm. Yeah.
So I'm not really sure what to make of it, but like, you know, he's a nice deep late sleeper outfield stash backup, but with all due respect, I'm just gonna skip the White Sox. I don't know if you're need to be drafting any of them.
Not going to that well anytime soon. I think that's pretty much it of the big ones. We're probably missing some that happened today, but or later today, but that's what we're seeing so far. But let's get to the goods. This is a very pro pitching podcast, and here we are. We're at the Mac Daddy of it all. We already kind of talked about our Tyreek Skubal, Paul Skeens back and forth before on a previous pod.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really have to rehash that, but is that your 1-2 coming into this year, or is Zach Wheeler getting in there? Okay.
No, it's I think
shout out to Zach Wheeler. Is I wouldn't say like it's a tier probably, but Zach Wheeler deserves some love though. Like he definitely is like he is the most underrated number 3 guy. I feel like of all time. Like it always seems like whenever he's like great, there's always somebody better, and Zach Wheeler's like I'm still just chugging along. He's Josh Allen. And there's just Mahomes and Lamar all the time. But the Mahomes and Lamar switches some years. But he's like, I'm still just Josh Allen. Guys, I'm really good. And then they're like, yeah, okay. And then they're like, this year's Jalen Hurts is really good. He's like, I'm still Josh Allen, guys. Like, just give Zach Wheeler is really good at baseball too. And he pitches a lot of innings, really good sub-3 ERA. That's what he does.
Right.
He's like, I'm going to give you a lot of innings, sub-3. Let's do it. But yeah, Skubal, Paul Skeens, I think upside floor, which way you want to go. We've talked about that, but that's the simplification of those two. Unless you want to touch on something else, what else? Where do you want to go from here, JT?
Oh, I think ultimately I'm okay with Skubal, Skeens right there. Wheeler I think is a mini little tier, and then I think it kind of opens up in terms of what your flavor variety of pitcher is. If I were to group a tier, I could go the next 8 or so, 10 or so. Like I could see it.
I say probably the 4 to 12. I think right with Garrett Cole ends. I don't know if you're looking at the same thing.
So
8. Yeah, probably. From there, I'm pretty comfortable being the next tier.
Like for me, I think I'd lean Corbin Burns. Been there, done that.
Agree.
Side it. Super consistent in the last 3 years.
Is Garrett Cole like healthy? Like ready to go, rip going, rowing?
as far as I know, I haven't really heard that he is,
Anything else?
like anything else
That'd be
otherwise.
pretty low down here. If you told me Garrett Cole's healthy, his track record minus 1 year is not enough to drop him down all the way down here. I think I put him pretty high up here, honestly, as well. I feel like Garrett Cole at 34 is still, he's just coming out. He was coming off a Cy Young year the year before he got hurt. So
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. They're gonna let him go 200 innings if he's healthy enough, and he's gonna strike out 230 people. Now the ERA might fluctuate a little bit, but he'll be good. He'll be good at baseball. So
yeah,
very, very consistent.
yeah. The rest of this group that I'll name off, I think I kind of have two bins that I kind of
Yep.
that I bin them in. They did it, and we've maybe seen it before, or it was so great what they did that they deserve to be here. But
Yep.
I'm just a tiny bit leery, like, okay, you're gonna do that again, right? And or it's just there's such a high floor and
Yep.
such a potential for an even higher like ceiling, and they're still growing, and I'm just like, okay, we're gonna keep on that trajectory. So like the first bin, it's like Garrett Crochet, welcome. You know, he's in Boston now, change of
Yep.
venue, kind of like that. Maybe gives me a little hesitation.
I mean, ballpark to ballpark, they're both pretty small relatively, and he's a strikeout
Mhm.
guy anyway, so
Right.
shouldn't affect him too much, at least.
Yeah. And then Chris Sale, marred injury history, but hey, I mean, he's got a Cy Young, he's got a World Series, and he just had an excellent season in Atlanta. He's looking to repeat it, so I think he can do it again. And uh, I remember watching like some of his interviews. He's talking about just like other than getting a World Series in Boston, he's like that was a complete failure. I almost feel bad for taking their money, type of vibe. It was
Yeah.
just like, I wish I could redo that, but sometimes life just that's how it plays out. So, um, and then I think I would put in Cease. I mean, he kind of had this kind of like rocky, tumultuous, like it was kind of streaky, if you will. He gets traded, he plays in San Diego, and you see the total upside, and I think it's there. I think with same with Blake Snell, like what is he? Is he a two-time Cy Young winner now?
2 time.
And he's with the Dodgers, who I don't know how to like get the most out of pitching.
Yep.
If you
Although
haven't
they're getting
heard,
worse, it seems like. Yeah.
so he's always been walks has been his biggest thing, and I'm wondering
And
if
health. I would say health
and
too.
health,
Just doesn't
yeah,
not pitch a lot of
every
innings.
once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what his last two actual full seasons, he's got to Cy Young, but
I
that
was
was
gonna
like
say
5 years apart.
I was gonna say 2018 and 2023.
Yeah,
He's never pitched
so
130 innings in any of the other years.
wow.
Yeah. So.
So that's the vibe of that. And then
Yep.
on the other side, we got Logan Gilbert and George Kirby, Seattle's young studs, um, minuscule whip. They load up the strike zone and they play in a very friendly venue, and we'll just keep on that trajectory. Like
Yeah.
it's same with Cole Reagan's young lefty, Kansas City. Um, he did it to end 2023. He had a great 2024, still on that trajectory. So that's kind of how I see it. Are we vibing so far?
Yeah. Like you said, I view it as buckets, not like who's the best in what order, because it's what you need. Like maybe if I have a bucket, I say probably Corbin Burn is the best out of this one, just because I think he can fit in most buckets. But if you told me like again, you told me Blake Snell won a Cy Young and Corbin Burns didn't, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I could see there's like this group here could win a Cy Young, and would be not surprised at all. I guess let's put it that way. This tier is not surprised Cy Young candidates. Um, I have it as kind of the young bucks, so I have it as the Cole Reagans, Crochet, and I kind of just those two. I kind of have those two in another tier where it's just like you're great. I like what I see. Just do it again, and you'll keep climbing up this thing. But like wherever they fall, they could fall right for Corbin Burns for you, or they could fall. They kind of fall near the bottom towards me, just because I'm like a track record guy. But
Mm-hmm.
then I go the Garrett Cole, Blake Snell, Chris Sale. And it's kind of like health and age. If you're
Yeah.
healthy, you're great. But are you going to be healthy? And that's a real concern with those three. But I mean, even 70% of a season from any of those three, you're still going to be not. You take any of them here and they give you 80% of a season, it's still a fine pick. You did not do anything. You get into like 50% of the season, though, they miss half their starts, and you're like, oh, man, I really should have picked somebody else. But like, if I take Blake Snell here, he plays like Blake Snell for 80% of his starts, I'm like, that's totally fine. Like, I did
Yeah.
not waste a pick. It is a good pick. The point of these picks in the first couple rounds is don't completely whiff, and you do not whiff. Like, you did not whiff. And then I have like the steady eddies, the horses, like
Mm-hmm.
Logan Gilbert, Cease, and Kirby. I would say maybe aren't like the sexiest names probably in baseball, but when you look up at the end of the year, you're like, oh wow, they threw like 190, 180 innings, and they did what? Okay, like that, and that's like, it's like the surprisingly, like, it's what I say when I would always, like, back when Chong's on one his MVP, I'd like look up at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, he had 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'm like, oh, I guess I just in the monotony of the game, you're like, oh, I guess he did just have like 200 yards. I get okay, and yeah, you're gonna look up and you're like, Logan Gilbert had 200 innings and 200 something strikeouts in a sub 3 year. Okay, like wow, okay, yeah, nothing like he's not gonna have like a 15 inning or a 15 strikeout game or throw a no hitter, but you're just gonna be like, he's gonna do that every single day, and it's just gonna be like this, and that's what it's gonna be, and that is in today's baseball, like that is incredibly valuable. Knowing what you're going to get out of your guy all the time, and then especially of all the three, George Kirby just is terrified of walks, giving up walks. So like it just those guys are like, we're going to strike out, we're going to give you great ratios too, and this is what this is. And you're like, I will take that to the bank every day because it's going to be there every day. And
Yeah.
that's incredibly valuable. And they're all relatively young too. So it's just
Right.
like, yes, that is the value, is consistency, and that is what they give you. With the upside of like, they play like this. Like, I think some of these people in the names, I just know it because of the Mariners fans, but I know Kirby and Logan Gilbert are both top 8 in AL Cy Young voting already. Like these guys and Cease 2 in the National League have, again, Cy Young caliber thing, and like they're
Right.
healthy and have a little, just improve a little bit. It's Cy Young or bust at this point. So all of these guys, whatever order you really want to rank them in, it's all nitpicking. Like, I honestly, of the upside of all the guys, everyone's like Dylan Crochet. I like Cole Reagan's upside the best. Like, that guy could like explode. To be honest, like, I love that guy. But like, if you told me like Chris Sale's the top, Garrett Cole's the bottom, like, I'm like, don't care. Someone in here, I would love one or two of these guys. If I'm on a turn, I'm snagging both two of these pitchers. Is like,
Yeah.
depending on what I do, like, oh man, if I could get two of these guys, I'm living La Vida Loca. They still say that. Kids still say that, right?
On fleek
There
for
we go.
show.
Boom, we're hip on it.
Yeah, we're still in this is the ace of your fantasy staff
Yeah.
territory. I think for this podcast, I'm really trying to not split hairs. I'm trying to generalize the pitcher, the talent, the floor, the ceiling, the value, and everything. If your league is quality starts, take that into consideration. Like, I could try to maybe outline it as we go, because to me, like a Scooble and a Wheeler and Burns, both the Mariners, Gilbert and Kirby. I think there might be Reagan's might lean.
I think there's only a couple guys though, like a Sale or Crochet, that might be like, if he's
Yeah,
healthy. The only one that won't, Blake Snell will get himself in trouble, but they'll let him throw pitches. The
yeah,
Dodgers will, and like the only ones that might be on some pitch count is Crochet, but it's a new organization. Maybe they'll let him throw.
right.
So everybody else here,
So
like, if you're gonna go, they'll let you go. These
yeah,
guys will all throw the ball.
and yeah, as we get into it more, it'll probably be more apparent whether it's and obviously the win versus the quality starts versus the win. The win is a little bit more easier. It's probably the team that's on the better offensive, scoring the runs for them. So, but putting that,
hey, I mean,
yeah,
actually, all we named, they, other than Detroit and Pittsburgh, or other than Pittsburgh, which it's Paul Skeens, you don't want to go there. Everybody we've named is on a good team. Like, but like, again, they still won 80 something games. It's not, we're not talking like below. None of these teams are below 500. Let's put it that way, other than Pittsburgh.
true.
Only
It
team that
just
didn't make the postseason. Oh, I guess the Arizona Corbin Burns lost in a tiebreaker. He was in the playoffs last year, but like again, like and the Mariners are one
right.
game out. So everything we mentioned was one game out of a playoff or in a tiebreaker. They're all pretty good
True.
teams here.
True.
Some are better than others. Yeah.
Some are going to get those 3-2 wins, and some are going to get the 7-1. You know, like
Blake
they're
Snell,
just
lock it in.
yeah,
get to 5 innings, Blake. You'll be all right.
yeah. All right. So, kind of this next tier again. I think it's pretty broad, pretty open. I could stuff.
The buckets spread out a lot too, like
Yeah.
really wide. Yeah.
I mean, I'd be okay with probably stuffing, I don't know, a dozen or so, roughly. I don't know when my bucket will reach the top. We can just dive into it.
Yeah.
Um,
I probably max out at 12 to Bailey Ober at 30. You could probably make that case. I don't know. Like,
yeah, I was
yeah.
looking at like Max Fried is kind of where I start to get a
Yeah, but
different
I feel like
vibe.
Peralta there, I could talk myself into it. You know what I mean? Like, after
Yeah,
that, there's a couple guys in there, but I'm just like, but it's more of like after Bailey Omer, I'm like, okay, these names below are definitely like across the board more like, okay.
yeah.
But like, yeah.
Okay, so the two biggest names we need to address is Shohei and DeGrom, and I
Yeah.
think it's for very similar reasons. And it's a very similar vibe. Super high upside. Do not know how many innings they're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that's the whole conundrum. Like, would you be willing to take them as your SP2 on your fantasy team?
Yep. That's why they're in this bucket, and that's why health and they're as low as they are.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And
So,
Otani is obviously a different one because he's probably already gone. If it's a 2-player league or a 1-player league, so also in consideration. But
yeah.
yeah, because it's more of like Degrom and Max Fried are in the same tier, but like for obviously different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Luis Castillo, even again, Mariners thing again, steady Eddie, solid across the board, but he's not Jacob Degrom. You know
No,
what I mean? Like,
no.
no one's Jacob Degrom. Like,
In a daily moves league, Shohei is God.
yeah.
In a weekly, I think he's my DH util hitter. I
Oh,
don't
you probably be
know.
pitching him, yeah. Unless it's maybe a 2 week.
Yeah, there might be
Very
a
rare since it's a 6-man, probably.
yeah. So that's why I'm like in that type of like the NFBC, like I've already done one draft and then I have a slow draft in NFBC going, and it's just like you do that KDS to start, like, and I'm like, that number one pick, I don't care for it. So I just put it at the end of my choice,
Yeah.
and then I kind of like set it up that way. I just like, I don't want Shohei. I don't really care. No, and then I wouldn't take Shohei. Like I wouldn't take him number one because it's a weekly moves, and then I'm just like, oh, he's an awesome DH, but like I don't know. I don't want to have to like second guess. Oh, should I have started him at pitch? Nah. But anyway, okay. So other names up here that I feel strongly that are here. There's some where I'm like I'm going to slide them down. And again, we're on Fantasy Pros. I should have mentioned that. We always are, but
Yeah.
I don't think we'd mention it at
They
the
do a
top
really
of
good
this
job of
podcast.
compiling for
Yeah.
everybody, so it's just the easiest place.
So we got the Fantasy Pros SP rankings. Michael King, I feel like super deserves here. Almost might even deserve to be
Above
in that
Yamamoto.
above that in that last upper tier.
Yeah, you can make the case, yeah, for sure.
Possibly. I think I like Imaga. Is it? I had it, but I didn't. Shota Imanaga.
Yes.
Over Yamamoto. In terms of like my rankings in my head when I'm looking at it here.
He had such a good run for a while there, and then it was a little shaky, other than like on either end.
Right.
But
Right.
like, yeah, you see it. Like you see it. Yamamoto, I think, like it started off like on national television the worst, and then like really settled in. But yeah, like they got to close to the same spot in different ways, and I think one definitely got the Dodger bump than the other one.
That's true. right?
Yeah. So I think you're probably right. I
Yeah,
think if nothing else, they should be closer, a lot closer than
yeah.
if not flipped. Yeah, I agree. I'm not as high on Pablo Lopez, to be honest, as some of these guys. But I don't know if you are. He eats those
I,
innings, man. But again, if I'm eating those innings again, like
yeah, I think if this is like a really broad tier, I'm keeping him here, but he's probably
yeah,
near
he's near
the.
the bottom.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm reading, a Luis Castillo or Logan Webb is eating those innings. Aaron Nola in a given year is eating those innings. I think a little more effectively than Pablo Lopez. Pablo Lopez is on here because he's a very good innings eater. But again, like there's three or two other better innings eaters is what they do on this tier. I think.
Yeah. So innings eater, I think quality starts. Like he's gonna
Yes.
have a lot of quality starts, but in terms of like ace, I don't think he's your
Yeah.
SP1 ace. I
Yes.
think
He should
he'd be
not be
a
your he should
fine
not be your
two.
dude coming in
Yeah.
fantasy. Yeah.
Whereas like I
Yamamoto, if
feel
he's great,
like
fantastic. But
yeah, Shota and Yamamoto, I feel like I'd be okay with them as my SP1 on my fantasy team.
yeah,
I feel like that's kind of like there's like a bit of a difference there.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
But yeah, you like. I mean, I like Max Fried a lot on this list too. Freddie Peralta, health wise,
mhm.
Tanner Bybee. I always call him BB.
Right. Yeah. I need to shake myself for that too,
Yeah.
baby.
I think getting more innings in here. We'll see how he does. Getting a little tired last year affected him a little bit, but I don't think it's a talent issue. I think it's you're throwing your innings for the first couple times. It does wear on people. We've seen it a number of times. Struggle a little bit
Yep.
at the end, and that's normal. Fine, I'm not scared by that at all. Young pitcher struggles at the end of the year doesn't scare me off the next year. Actually, it shows me like, okay, you're fine. You're reaching your max. We'll build on it. You'll be okay. And health and you're naturally progressing. It does not worry me at all.
Yeah. Whereas
Tyler Glasnow,
Bybee,
what do we need to say about him? Just your
he
Dodgers be
probably
healthy. You're great. Like,
probably should have grouped him with those injury,
yeah, yeah.
vibe.
I mean, we could have technically grouped him with Blake Snell too, because it's the same thing. It's just the same thing. But
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is funny because we've named 3 Dodgers in this group of hurt list already. But go
Yeah.
Dodgers. Yeah, like it's just so much. We Nola, Bryce Miller, Framber Valdez. Where are you on Framber Valdez? I feel like I feel like he's extreme. I think people are like, this guy's really good. I'm like ace level. I'm like, oh, he's not an ace, and they're like, well, then he sucks. I'm like, well, he doesn't suck. I'm like, chill, guys. Like, I don't think he's ever properly rated. I think right here actually is probably pretty close, maybe a little high, but I mean, again, we're splitting hairs. I probably have him like 18, 19 versus 16, but who cares? If he's
Yeah.
2 spots, 3 spots, like
I would take, the Framber and Pablo and Logan Webb and Bybee, and I'm thinking, I know what I'm getting. I don't call you an SP1. You're not the ace. I'd be totally okay if I went hitting a bunch and I went back to back with these kind of SP2 vibes. They were my 1-2 on my fantasy staff. That'd
yeah.
be fine. We could make that work, but I don't think they're just like that true ace. Maybe they have that potential, but um, I know what I'm getting. I feel like it's a really high floor, good innings eaters. That's what I get out of the vibe of those kind
So
of
what would you say if
types.
your 2 guys were a DeGrom and a Framber Valdez? Would that be okay with you?
I think they would complement each other really well.
Like
I got an
if they're
injury
healthy,
risk,
you're okay
but
with
with
it.
elite
Framber,
ratios, and
yeah.
Framber, I feel like is gonna get me my 180 plus, and hopefully Degrom stays healthy.
Yeah, I don't know if I want any of them as like if you said like Fromber or Pablo is my one, but if I got both of them and I
hmm
could snag like someone really high or really low in this tier as well, I'd be like, look, I might be able to. I don't have an ace, but I got 3 like elite number 2s. I'm
hmm
okay with that. But like,
Yeah,
yeah, like the why I said Degrom was we both know like when healthy he is the one. So it's like I could wait on my one and have Fromber be my one for a while
yeah,
until my one shows up. Yeah.
yeah. I think I put Bryce Miller with that kind of these last couple guys we've been talking about too.
His is yeah, love this stuff. Actually,
Nola.
stuff of we talk about the 5. We're gonna talk about all the 5 Mariners starters because we talked about it all last year. They're electric. Miller and Wu, I think, are the best stuff.
Mm-hmm.
To be completely honest, those two dudes are special, and it's just Miller just needs to. He's learning like 8 pitches. I don't know if they've seen the things. He has another pitch this year where everyone's like, "Are you kidding me?" So he already had crazy stuff.
And a
So
sweet mustache.
yeah, and a sweet stash.
Don't forget
But
that.
so it's just like that dude's talent is off the charts, and he's so young. He's still learning. He's still learning the game really. So I think his upside he could climb a lot in this rankings as well. Sub 1 WHIP, sub 3 ERA last year, 108 innings. He played 31 games. He could go 200 if he makes all the starts and strike out 190 people. And he can. I'm just saying it now. Maybe a 2.5 ERA. I don't know. I'm just saying. I like Bryce Miller a lot. I'm just saying he might be higher on this list, closer to the second tier than I think the fourth tier by the end of this year. So
Okay. Yeah.
he's the guy. Luis Castillo, I think, going the other way for the Mariners. sorry. Mariners. I don't want to hype up the Mariners too much. I think Luis Castillo's probably dipping out of this category this year.
That's
Very solid.
very.
Not a knock on him.
Yeah.
Fantastic pitcher, but I think they're going different directions.
I kind of feel that way. I agree with you about Luis, and I almost feel like I'm ready for that kind of changing in the guard for Aaron Nola. Like I feel like it might be coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, his biggest strength again was also eating innings.
Yeah.
And if that's not what you're bringing to the table, and he's still eating the innings, but it's just like we have other innings eaters and they're better, and you're kind of getting past, and you're getting older now. You didn't have elite stuff. You're in your 30s now, and you're an inning eater with non-elite stuff.
Right.
It's gonna start. Like you said, it's the same as Luis Castillo. You're in your 30s with non-elite stuff that 8 innings.
Yeah.
You're gonna start falling.
I think I want to put Schwellenbach like with the kind of just right under that Bybee kind of like that Bryce Miller. I feel like a super strong SP2. I almost God, what we saw out of him, I almost want to put him above like a Luis or a Freddie.
I give him a bump because Atlanta's busting these guys out left and right. I feel like just gotta keep them healthy in Atlanta. So I mean, they did wonders with Sale. So, but like they sure know how to make their talent and make it work. We've already named 3 past Atlanta guys with Sale, Fried, and now him. So the talent's there. Spencer Strider would have been here too, barring his arm blown up a couple of years ago. But I feel like they have the talent. They know what they're doing over there in Atlanta. So he gets some Atlanta bumps, kind of like the Dodgers with me, like especially with Atlanta. So
whoa, okay, hold on. How tall do you think Bailey Ober is? I don't know how you would know this. I didn't know this.
I don't know which direction you're wanting me to go with this either. Which is like, I'm like, is he like 5'2" or like 7'2"? I'm gonna say. Man, I can't do that. I gotta go crazy. 6'7".
6'9".
I didn't go.
Yeah.
I was gonna go 6'4". I'm like, that's every pitcher. Like, I was like, I gotta go a little taller. So I guess taller. Okay.
So yeah, he sits like 92, but his reach is so elite that like that's interesting.
Okay, can I get super nerdy for a second? It's about throwing, but not about baseball.
Okay.
I was watching on YouTube old episodes of the TV show Dodgeball on Cartoon Network, and they had this guy who was in the Dodgeball movie, and he played on the team who won the championship the first year. And he's tall and skinny. He doesn't throw it that hard. There's people who throw it way harder than him, but his reach is so long that people underestimate just how valuable reach is. You can throw not as hard, but it is almost more effective because you're letting it go so much closer.
Right.
Like, he's so tall, he's letting it go so much closer to you, and you underestimate how he was always knocking people out. And I'm like, they're like, the other guy on their team throws so much harder. I'm like, it's the reach is really far. You're basically touching the guy with the ball, or you're touching like Logan Gilbert gets really good extension. It's super underrated. So yeah, like it doesn't. I get it. Obviously, he wants to throw harder, but if you're letting it go, basically handing it to the catcher, it's pretty valuable.
I almost want to go look up that set on Swan. I might do that on the side while we keep going.
I think I'm how do I say this? Lukewarm on Grayson Rodriguez. Obviously, I don't think he'll ever be the hype, but I think good pitcher. Good pitcher. Needs to be healthy, but good pitcher. I think that's where he's at. He's probably a little high here at 28 for me. There's some guys I like more. Like I like Hunter Brown. I mentioned his start was so rough, and everyone's like, "Oh," I'm like, dude, he figured it out. Like we talked about it on this podcast last year. He's really good. Like I love Hunter Green's stuff. I'd have him over Grayson Rodriguez because I'm like, Hunter Green figures this, gets a little bit more consistency, figures this out. Like he played great for 152 innings or 150 innings last year. Rough the first couple years. You do what you did last year again. He's not even in the same ballpark as Grayson Rodriguez, I think. So that's why I'm like, and Grayson Rodriguez is up here a little bit higher. I'm like,
Yeah.
I think he's still getting a little post number one prospect in baseball love.
Yeah.
Good pitcher again. I don't want to like talk like I'm this guy's trash, but like he needs to be just down a little bit. He's definitely down a couple tiers for me from this.
Yeah. There's a scare I saw on Twitter. Everyone was scared because Grayson Rodriguez was throwing like 2 miles an hour slower than usual for his most recent start, like today or yesterday. And so the beat reporter interviewed him, and he goes, "Oh no, that was me. I was working on arm slot and kind of like wrist and release, kind of where my palm was fit." Like he was just talking about that. He's like, "No, I wasn't focused on velo today. I was really trying to find that arm slot for the most part." He goes, "Don't worry. Next start or two, I'm going to let it eat." Direct quote. I was just like, "Yeah, buddy, yeah." Also, Grayson Rodriguez, in terms of qualified pitchers, meaning they at least had 1.25 plate appearances per team game, whatever that means. Anyways, 20th overall for extension.
Ooh, there
you want to take a random guess? I don't even know how you'll guess this. Who's number one in extension for starting pitchers?
Starting pitchers. Okay. No, man.
We've talked about him already. That helps.
Is he a lefty?
Nope.
That would have been my guess. I don't know.
He looks like a movie star.
It looks like a movie. Oh, Glass now.
Nope.
What?
He looks like a very specific movie star, and
Glass now looks like a movie star. He looks like.
I know.
Murphy. That's kind of what I. But he's like the one I know. I don't know who else is. Who else?
I made a point to watch each of these movies every time he started for the Mariners.
Oh, Logan Gilbert.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
I knew he was up there, but I didn't think he was one. That's interesting.
Yeah, for 2024, he had the.
I knew he was very high up there, but I would have guessed like.
Glasnow was second. Okay. So back-to-back movie stars. Boom.
See, yeah, you gave me. I had a 50-50 shot, man. I had a 50-50 shot.
Tons of relief pitchers up here, but those are the top two. And then Bailey Ober, I think, is third. If I'm just kind of skimming it, it's not really labeled what type of pitcher there, but me just going off names.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and then Grayson, I guess, would be fourth or fifth. So, anyway, Zach Wheeler's up here, 24th overall. But yeah, those lanky guys getting it to the plate quicker than you think.
We love some Spencer on here, Schwellenbach. I'm trying to think here down here. I'm dipping Sonny Gray. Sorry, good pitcher, but just not.
Yeah, not here. A little bit lower than that. Castilla-Nola, I feel like a little bit kind of on the way down.
Yeah. Again, solid. If I get him later, I'm not sad about it, or I actually would enjoy it later, but just it's not here. Like I'm telling you an upside, like I just said, like whatever Roki
Sasaki, you got it.
Yeah, yep, there we go. It's not like I've ever said that before, being a Mariners fan.
Right.
Got Kazuhiro, baby, but I don't know what. Maybe his combo of his name. It's just throwing me off. It's a tongue twister for me. I'd be more willing to take a gamble on that than a Sonny Gray. I think, like, you know what I mean. And him and Sonny Gray next to Hunter Green, I don't think they're even close. I'd rather have Zach Gallen over him. We're talking Brian Wu, Jack Flaherty's. I'd roll Spencer Strider again. Like, you know, I just basically have everyone up here over Sonny Gray, and that's. I think talented at this tier.
I think I'd put Hunter Green and Zach Gallen even below Sonny Gray. I would totally go for a Sasaki. I'd roll the dice on Sasaki.
Yeah.
I'd even go. Yeah, I'd go for Grayson Rodriguez. I might scroll too far. We haven't talked about Brian Wu yet, though, have we?
I just mentioned him just very briefly, but
he's down a little ways. But I feel like I would rather I mean, or even McClanahan. He's right there next to Sasaki.
Yep.
I actually would go for
Yep.
McClanahan.
Yep.
I mean, if you're in a wins league, that's kind of a tough one, but he's going to get, I would assume, get to the ratios. I mean, if we're getting back to full health, but he's had
Yeah.
plenty of time to it's not like we're getting him on the short end of the rehab.
I think down here, if you're banking on stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it's Roki and Wu. It's just like Roki is like a rookie, who knows, and Wu just his health. If
Yeah.
Wu's only limit is on how far he's going to climb is just how many innings. If he pitches innings, he's going to climb. If he pitches less innings, he's going to fall. That's it, not
Yeah.
stuff. So that can be for a Harry pitcher, but like it's just him. It's just like his innings are going to be great. It's just how many does he give you, and that's how high up this list is going to go. Period. So, and I mean all the way. Like that's I'm just
Yeah.
his fastball is amazing. So like just keep going. Like that's what you got to do, and stay healthy. So so I thought about it. Wu and Miller, crazy stuff. Just can you pitch all your innings? That's it. I think Sandy is looking good in spring training. The Sandman from Miami.
Yeah.
Again, we're getting down here. Players got some warts, but talent wise, I mean, he's won a Cy Young. Like you don't.
I put him right there with McClanahan or even like Grayson. I feel like it's kind of a different but similar.
Yeah, if you think this is he's bouncing back. Boom, here we got it. Totally go get him. Like because
pick him up.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those you miss it and he does it that you think he's gonna do it because he has a lot of talent. You're gonna hate yourself for it. And trust me, I've been there. So
yeah,
all about the Sandman. So really like him. Kodai Senga, I think he's right where he belongs. 45. He just it was what 4 innings? Don't call me. Did he pitch 4 innings last year?
Quote? Ooh, that sounds about right. I was going to say single digits.
I thought it was 4. Good pitcher. Just you don't pitch for a full season. Kind of a season. 2 injuries. It almost been as weird as it sounds. It almost been better if it was like 1 injury. You know what I mean? And then we're kind of come back. It was just like you hurt. Yeah, I hurt again. Like a little nervous, but like I think stuff wise, right here, you take him. He's gonna be much better than this spot. There's a lot of value here.
I kind of lump him with like a Hunter Green. I feel like I respect him as a pitcher, but I don't want him on my staff type of thing where I'm like, I'd rather.
But I mean, if he's the 4th,
I think it's appropriate ranked, but I think personally, I'm just like, I'm like, he should be here, but I'm not gonna. I feel like he walks way too many guys, and I feel like he throws that, awesome ghost fork ball or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like when he first came on, he walked a ton of dudes, and then he figured it out after the first month or 2 of that full season.
Whip last year was 0.5.
In 5 and a third. What was his ERA? It was probably over 3.
It was 3.3.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just personal preference, but I agree. He's probably appropriate in the 40s here.
Hey, he had a 9-to-1 K to walk ratio, baby.
What? Literally 9 to 1?
To 1 walk.
That's not a ratio. That's literally the result.
No, technically it's also a ratio. Like technically,
he had a 4.5 to half.
Yeah. I think so. My style is I'm okay with him because I think it's there, but he does walk too many people. But I'm banking on the upside. They're gonna win a lot of games, and I think they're gonna need him to pitch. So I think they're gonna let him go if he's healthy. So he's gonna get you a lot of QSs. I think. I am worried about that defense a little bit. Not gonna lie. Certain parts of that defense, I guess. Let's put it that way. Ball hit to the right side. I'm a little nervous of the whole field. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Pete Alonso and Juan Soto. Not I don't know. A little nervous about that, but just face righties. A lot of righties hit it to center.
I'm okay with Ronaldo here, but I feel like there's some guys below keep going down. Like I would take over him. I know he had a monster ratios year, but I just don't foresee that. Obviously sustaining.
I have a question for you, Spencer Strider. What are you doing with him?
I haven't looked at the outlook in terms of like, is he coming back in April at least, or that would be kind of a quick bounce back, wouldn't it? May. His anticipated return is May.
So, do you? I mean, because it's been a little shaky. It's been a little like. What do you?
Have you
What are you thinking
seen
here?
have you seen those thighs though? Like he's got horse legs.
I mean,
He's
well, you joke, but honestly,
he's ready.
that's. I mean,
He's
strength is a
ready.
big deal for pitchers. Like
Oh
that's
yeah.
and he's
Power source.
yeah.
Um I would rather
He gets
if
down
we're
close to
talking
10 strikeouts,
if
man.
we're talking if we're talking value, like I feel like what's his ADP? Because
Oh shoot, let me
this
look
is
that up.
just
Uh,
ranks.
ADP is 127, so about 11th round.
Yeah, I think that's worth it.
You think? Yeah, I do too. I think I might even go maybe around higher because I'm like, man, like you said, he's healthy, man. He's striking out in like 180 innings. He's striking out like 300 guys. like,
Oh yeah, like
like,
I don't have to go out of my way to
yeah,
get him probably as like my third
yeah.
pitcher, like around 11 or even 10, like
My 10th
easy
round,
third
third or
pitch.
fourth starting pitcher striking out 300 dudes. Like,
Like in what 4 months, right?
yeah, exactly.
That's the number.
Yeah,
Because if Senga can do 9 per 5, then
easy. But yeah,
yeah,
I mean, in 180 innings, he struck out 281. So like, not even a full like he doesn't even need the full season to get there. So like, he's already done that. So
yeah,
he and even the season before 2022 Rookie of the Year, he was on pace for basically the same for striking out 300. So it's definitely like a thing for him. He just needs to get on the field, but like and be healthy on the field. But yeah, man,
yeah,
that is some value down there. Him and Woo down there. It's just man, get on the diamond and get your innings. And those two guys down here are super awesome. And again, I think if Sandy too, Sandy's like, I'm healthy here. I got it because everyone's like, man, he had a hiccup, and I'm like, his hiccup was like, let me double check here. It's like a 3 something, right? Oh, he had
yeah.
a 4 ERA last year, but like other than that, he's like 3.1, 2.2. Maybe not a 2.2 guy, but you're talking like a 2.8, 2.9 guy.
Hmm.
Okay, like a strikeout. I mean, come on, like 200 strikeouts. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I think the upside is there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I
over like
see.
Jared Jones. I like Jared Jones, but he's not doesn't have the upside with Sandy. Like it just isn't there.
Oh,
Same
but
with Seth Lugo. I'm
I'm
a Seth Lugo guy.
totally.
I'm a Seth Lugo guy, but I don't think he doesn't have the upside of Sandy.
I personally would put Jones and like Flaherty, probably right around that Hunter Green Senga, but I would rather have them over Green and Senga. But I feel like
Yeah,
that they're all kind of
it's
they're
yeah,
below the Sonny
they
Gray.
get
They're
liked.
below
They
the
get liked.
yeah.
Yeah,
There is one name we still haven't talked about where I think I would still. It must be a soft spot, but
yeah.
Robbie Ray. We haven't got to him yet. He's kind of even further down,
Ye-
52nd overall, but he's just he's just staring at me. Those tight pants. I can picture him. I'm looking at paper in print of his name, but all I see are tight pants. I don't know what condition I
I
have
think
right now, but
you're all like, man, I don't like Senga. He walks many people, but you're like, I love Blake Snell and I love Robbie Ray. I'm like, these two, like that's all we do is just walk people. I get it. No, I get it. I'm just like
but
JT.
they're
Is it?
lefty, so it's
I was
crafty.
gonna say, is it a
It's
lefty thing? Like, is
strategy.
it just
It's
like
strategery.
coming from the left side? I do think a lefty pitcher is aesthetically more pleasing for me. I hate the way Blake Snell throws games. Like it's just so frustrating. But like, I
Mm,
do like a lefty throwing the ball.
yeah.
Like I really like the look of a lefty throwing the baseball in general. Like I love the Kershaw, like back in prime Kershaw, the lefty throw, like his whole thing, his whole get up. Like people say like Junior had the best swing. I think Kershaw's like delivery was so fun to watch. Like that was great.
Oh
So
yeah.
I get it. I get it. But yeah. No, I get your Robbie Ray point. I get it. Like I think he walks too many people for me, but man, like if he could get on the mound and play in that stadium, big stadium, he's gonna
Yeah.
strike dudes
I
out.
mean,
He's gonna strike
if he
dudes out.
walks too many, he strikes out too many. It's unfortunate that I mean he's not Strider level, but dang.
And his every other year is insane.
Oh
so,
really?
yeah,
He's like the our local
six,
weather in
six
the
and a half
winter.
ERA, 2.8, 3.7, 8. Like, it's
Johnny Tsunami, go big or go home.
although his last year technically is his down year in 30 innings, but The year before
and
was only 3 innings. So
he's reunited with his former teammate JV, and
hey,
all they need is to trade for Scherzer, and then we'll have a mini Detroit in San
you
Francisco.
talked about the best outfield at the same time. That Detroit Tigers rotation.
Oh gosh,
Wasn't it that because Robbie Wade wasn't in the rotation yet, I think, or somebody wasn't, but 4 of the 5 or something won a Cy Young, right?
yeah, Doug Fister was the not.
Yeah. Doug Fister was a very solid pitcher. Like, yeah,
I made a
like
song about him.
yeah,
Like
like
he was
like
good.
for like 8 years, he was a good pitcher, like a good major league pitcher. People would kill to have Doug Fister on their rotation. But yeah, he's looked at as so bad because he didn't win a Cy Young. He was like people put it this way. He's better than Joe Blanton was on the crazy Phillies team.
Right.
Like those crazy Phillies teams. Like
I'm gonna do a quick Twitter search. I tweeted at Doug Fister one time, and he replied back because I changed the lyrics like Weird Al style. I was like, "Hey, Doug Fister, you're that Mister on the radio, stereo. The way you pitch ain't fair, you know." And I thought he tweeted back, or maybe he just liked it. But
I like to think he liked it, JT, because he was 150, 155, 123 ERA plus, 140 ERA plus. Yeah, that'll work, kid. Like, yeah, those will work. Like, good player. He was a good player, especially in Detroit too. Like,
oh, here it is. David Ardsma, double A. Ardsma tweeted out, "Anybody here train Soul Sister and think Doug Fister?" And then I said, "Yes, I absolutely do. I even keep going with it." And I went the lyrics, and he liked it. And then I didn't wait for a reply back, so I replied again, and I said, "I throw my fists up in the air sometimes saying Doug Fister. I want to celebrate another strikeout from Doug Fister." So I just kept going. He didn't like that one. I think I laid it on too thick.
You scared him off. He's like, "Oh God, I have a stalker."
But Ardsma's still on Twitter. I was able to search and find that. So
there you go.
Side note, my searching and finding skills are like at elite levels right now. I just won a free set of cornhole bags because of them. So
they're on fleek, is what you'd say. The kids.
Yeah, nerd alert.
For the kids.
I was watching this cornhole podcast, and they were like, "Actually, if someone gets this answer right in the next like 60 seconds, not only will you win like this like carrying tote for cornhole bags, they're like, we're gonna put some cornhole bags in it and ship it to you." And I was like, "Challenge accepted." And
was it a cornhole question?
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't. Okay, then I
wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was very specific to them. They do this big bracket every February, March, Battle of the Bags. It's like a March Madness homage. And they're like, this cornhole bag versus this one. You know, what do you like more? And people vote. And so their question was, the very first year we did it, who was the winner of and they only had 8 bags. This year they're doing like 128.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So I had to get on Facebook real quick, and I did my little search, and I was able to reply within that minute. So he was like, "Okay, JT, you won a set of bags on top of that. Nicely done." He was like super surprised. I was like, "Don't challenge me like that." So anyway, sorry.
You don't know me. We'll keep going down here. Robbie Ray, love Robbie Ray.
Shout out,
especially down here, 52. You know.
Yeah,
there's upside down there for sure.
So you shouted out Lugo. I didn't want to skip over those ones because I feel like I'm really mixed bag of it's Gaussman, Christopher Sanchez, and Philly Kikuchi now in.
What you like, I think, down here. It's players you're gonna like because all these players have value. It's what do you need and what's your like you said, what's your style? I'm not a Kikuchi guy. I like a Seth Lugo for the nice floor. I've liked him for years. Thought he should have been a starter for years. Mets. Just should have put him in the rotation. But yeah, it's just what you like. I think there's really. I could be talking to any of these guys. Like you're like, there's a case made for all of them for sure.
Yes, I'm super out on Brandon. How do you pronounce it? Pat?
Oh, Fott.
Fott.
I didn't even see him here. I'm just gonna be.
I would punt him double.
Oh, yeah. He got a lot of hype for the playoff performance, right? Wasn't that it? A couple years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Christopher Sanchez is the only one that belongs in this discussion in the 40s. I would I would almost say Gossman is on the out. We talked about like Luis Castillo, we see it in Sonny Gray, like we've seen Gossman. I feel like I would punt him down another dozen or so, and Kikuchi,
yeah.
I'm kind of there. I feel like in spurts he's really good. He's got that strikeout upside, but sometimes it's just an awful.
I don't know if I punt Gossman down that far, only because the other people below him, like, you're not that good either. Like Nathan Eovaldi, I'm like, yeah, you belong around Nathan Eovaldi, but Nathan Eovaldi's right here. I'm like, I'm not jumping Kevin Gossman over Nathan Eovaldi. And kind of Nick Pivetta too. I'm like, you belong around there. But that's the thing. I think Shane Baz. I'm gonna do it again every year for like five years forever, however long we've been doing this. Shane Baz, type, let's go. This is the year. 58th pitcher. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Let's get it. But seriously, he just needs to pitch. Love the guy.
Seriously, could you just pitch, please?
Just be healthy. I mean,
yeah.
3 ERA last year. She's only 7 innings. A 3 ERA, 1 WHIP, like a strikeout an inning. Just be healthy. You'll strike out more than that once you get healthy, but just like get healthy. Like I just need you to play. I need you to start more than like 10 times in your career.
Yeah,
Eventually, one of these days, you'll make me look like a genius.
I'm struggling right now with the fantasy and I think this is probably where like the standard deviation is gonna just go. Yeah, it's starting to really increase.
After Shane Baz, it's like, who do you like? And that's it is just a free for all at this point.
Yeah, the spread and it's like almost double digits for everybody.
Clark Schmidt for the Yankees.
Oh, Schmitty.
I mean, a lot of what I've been hearing is they love him. Like, he's solidly their number 4 starter. I heard good things last year, but it was kind of one of those like they signed who is it? Stroman, right? And I was like, oh, Stroman will be a nice 4 for them, and everyone's like, no. Clark Schmidt is our 4, pretty like decisively. And I was like, oh, I didn't really, I wasn't familiar with your game, kind of one of those.
I'm good. I mean, I'm just all over. This is where my list would totally start getting revamped. But
I mean, the numbers were good last year. Getting those starts.
Yeah, let me pull up his profile real quick. CSW was super strong.
Yeah.
Pitch metric good. Swing strike rate solid. 26 K%.
Have a mid-2 ERA again.
Yeah.
But I think he's definitely better than the 4.5 ERA the year before.
Mm-hmm.
So sliding him in, getting him all the way down here, and you're getting more than a strikeout an inning, and you're getting the whip's a little high. Yeah, like I mean he's a little loosey goosey, but I mean you can get like a 3.3 ERA with like you get a pitch 180 innings and get me 200 something strikeouts down here. Like if he pitches the full season in theory.
Yeah, I feel like he's the what do you call him? Like Pivetta, right? Pivetta just ended up in San Diego. Yeah. Is that who I'm thinking of, right? Yeah. He's like a Pivetta where he's going to fill up the strike zone, and either you're gonna strike out against him, or you're gonna hit it like hard.
In the first two innings, you're kind of gotta know what day it is.
Yeah. So I feel like it's a little volatile.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like, yeah, I can see the upside.
So I guess, is there anybody you love below here, or like, or you're bumping up below here, or you're like,
that I'm super, yeah. That's where I was starting to like think where I'm like, well, I see Ryan with Tampa Bay again. I should have looked up how to pronounce some of these names. I'm rusty on these.
How far down are you?
New guys. Didn't I see him pretty? Did I scroll to it? No, 55. Ryan.
Oh, Pepiot?
Pepiot? Yeah. I'd say I'm good with him here. That's the former Dodger, now Tampa Bay Ray, and like just
Tampa Bay is like all these guys right here. But I mean, Tampa Bay is really good at pumping out like good guys who throw 140 innings. And we've talked about it before. I'm just like, other than Shane, I'm just like, man, like, could you do maybe? Can I get a, like, I feel like I'm bartering. Can I do a 150? Can I do, like, if you're telling me 130 is my max, like, how high can I bump? Can I even roster you really? Because what are you at that point?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't rely on you in a 2 week because you're not going to do that, or like you might have one great start, but then like, what is it worth rostering you if you might have a great start every so often? And I'm just like, ugh. Like I just don't know what to make of all these Rays guys. I'm banking on Shane Baz because of the talent, but I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Other than that, like, I love all the. I mean, I love all the what the Rays do with it, and they're very effective. But you told me these guys pitch 170, 180 innings. They're climbing up these charts. They're just not. They're just
Right.
not. And you're right. I think they're all right where they belong. Where they're just like teasing you. They're just all teasing you. You're like, you can see it. It's that commercial where the guy's like holding the dollar on the fishing pole. You want it?
Right.
You don't do it. Don't draft these Rays. Don't do it.
Not quick
It's
enough.
not gonna be worth it. Just take a hitter down here. Like, I know the talent's here. They're like, but the talent, this range is just like, don't do it. Just don't do it. Like, you're gonna get 80 innings of Shane Baz, Sean. You dummy. Like, but I'm gonna still pull that damn trigger. Like,
Right.
I'm just gonna do it. But still, and I'm gonna be like, but if he does 180, or not even 180, he would never do 180 at this point. But he does double his career load. Like, but it won't happen. I'm just a sucker. But I get it. I mean, I get all the Rays guys, but just
Yeah.
all the same.
And then if you're in a wins league, that's a really tough hill to climb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just really. And that's why I haven't mentioned any Rays before, or other than I haven't mentioned any Rays before that.
Yeah. So today, I'm trying to answer your question. My screen right now, based on the Zoom, only fits about 30 guys. So I'm roughly looking about from like Seth Lugo at 47 all the way down to Gavin Williams 74. So just under 30 guys here.
Yeah.
And I'm like skimming, and I'm like, this guy, sure. This guy, maybe towards the bottom of this kind of. Yeah. I don't even know what. It's not a tier, but it's just as much as I can kind of like gather at once. Yeah. But if I were to kind of shout out names, oh gosh, I feel like Christopher Sanchez we talked about.
There's some guys I like Gil, but again, we just talked about how he's going to be hurt for a while, so it's just like,
yeah, I like
maybe some value, but it's not going to work.
The Ronel Blanco, I feel like I'm like okay with that. That's kind of down there. Yu Darvish, I feel like I'm in a similar. Like I kind of know what the floor is. I don't feel like the ceiling's
if he's healthy
too
in these
high.
Innings, it's going to be good innings. Again, but like we just talked about inning here, he's falling, but you need some of those guys to pitch you some innings. You know what I mean? A lot of leagues have minimum innings you got to eat, and
yeah, it's the weirdest thing. It's just so funny where I'm like, excuse me, Mr. Darvish. What would happen if you only threw like half of the pitches you have? So instead of 11, you only threw like 5 or 6. Like, what would that look like?
Just focus on some 5. Yeah, 5. We don't need 11.
Just ridiculous. Yeah. Gosh, what else? This is tough. I'm not really. I mean,
there's a lot of talent higher up, and it's a lot.
Yeah,
I feel like the groups are so much higher up here, but it thins out. I mean, there's a lot of guys you could talk me into having good years. I mean, because I've done it in the past, but it's just like there are some real like, can you like really like, can we do this again? Like, can we go down this route? Like, I just feel like and I get why, but the fall off of Walker Buehler was just like one elbow injury, and he's like, all right, you're down here. And I'm like,
oh yeah,
the guy just turned 30. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't even have that many innings on his arm.
Mm-hmm.
He has like 600, maybe 500 on his arm, and he's 30 years old. I'm like, it wouldn't be shocking if Walker Buehler was good again,
right?
Like, but it's just like, it feels like he completely fell off. I don't think I'm rolling that dice. I mean, you never say never. I mean, like down here, like I got an extra roster spot. Maybe my pitching's like pretty fine, and I could do something, and I feel pretty confident. I'm like, it's one of those guys where I'm like, I'll take a shot of my last 2 rounds, but like, let's see what it is. You know what I mean? Like, let's see what this looks like, because it's more of like, can I hit a home run on the last out? You know, I'm up 10-1. I'll swing for the fences. I'm D Gordon. I go close my eyes. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And I think Walker Buehler, just 2 years removed from being really good, like, I think we write him off a little too fast. Now, we might be rightfully writing him off, but still, like, I'll roll the dice there. But there's not a lot of there's not. I say that.
There's guys where I'm looking forward to what they can do now that they're back or healthy, or if they get enough playing time.
Kumar
Like,
Rocker, I'm interested. I think Texas is
yes,
going to need him.
yes.
So, like, what does he look like? We wanted to roll some dice there, just, based on upside, and they will play him at some point.
Yeah. Yep. Who did I scroll away from? Bubba Chandler. I got to 100. I might have gone too far, but like, man, if any of that translates from AAA,
yeah, have we had an update? Like, is it a for sure? Like,
I would think they would want to.
Is it one? I would
want I would say it's a
days. Is it one? Yeah. Of those, you think?
Okay. So if you went and looked at whatever Skeens popped in, I feel like we're just in for round 2.
I mean, if you told me that, I'm for sure drafting him then. Like, he's not making it this far. If it gets a little closer to the drafts and you need to keep tabs on him, I keep tabs on like how they're phrasing it with Bubba, because if he's there, the talent, I mean, we're talking much. He needs to be not in the 20s rounds of drafted. He needs to be higher than that, because the talent is, I mean, we're talking like around 17, 16, something like that, because I'm really that big. It's just more of like, how are they talking? How close is it? How much season is he going to get? That's my only question.
Yeah.
If it's half the season, I'm drafting him. Like, yep. No question. No question. Yeah, he was pretty far down here maybe. I'm looking at his long shot, but he could be called up at some point during the season. I mean, I get that. Fantasy pros. Thanks for the nothing burger there. He's good. He might play. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. There was one there. I'm scrolling back and forth too much. Oh, Woodruff, 71. I remember reading Pitcher List, and he's got these color coding things. He's a big fan of The Office, so shout out there. It's kind of funny. So sometimes he labels the guys as Hollies or Tobies or stuff like that, and they mean a certain thing. Don't ask me what they mean right now. I remember what cherry bombs mean, but he's got labels for all of them. Ace is going to ace, and then potential aces. He had Woodruff as a potential ace, and I don't get it. He had him super way down. Like, all the other aces potentials were like his top 20 and everything, but Woodruff, again, I think it was like middle of the hundreds, or second half of his 100 ranking. But he said he had ace upside, and I'm like, that dude had the encapsulated shoulder thing that no one's ever bounced back from, and I was like, I don't know if he ever was an ace. Like, he was really good at his peak. I don't know. I didn't know if it was an accidental category classification, but
no, I don't think it's ever coming back, unfortunately. Yeah, I was a big Woodruff guy. I rostered him a couple of years. Really solid, really good.
Like ratios and close starts and.
Do you know something crazy? I was looking at it, I was like, man, Clayton Kershaw, you can't be doing this again. JT, last year, he did not have a strikeout per inning, and his ERA was over 4. When was the last year he did not have a strikeout per inning?
Trick question. He's never not had a strikeout.
Yeah.
Okay.
When was the last year he did it?
Do I have to give you the year, or like his? If I said his sophomore year.
You want to say his sophomore year?
Yeah.
It was his rookie year, 2013. And it was 255 innings and only 249 strikeouts.
Oh.
2 ERA. So, like, he had 250 innings of sub 2 ERA and a 0.9 WHIP. So it was the first year, and I'm just like, I'm looking at him like, we're like, he's toast. Take him out back just a year ago. I'm not saying draft him, but he has more than a strikeout an inning and has a 2.4 ERA and a 1 WHIP. I'm like, what demon? Like, how do you, like, everyone's like, he's toast. This guy is just, why do we keep signing 1-year deals? I'm like, the guy's ERA is like 2.3, guys. Like, he is still super good when he throws the innings.
Mm-hmm.
He's only going to throw 120, but he's going to strike out more than a guy in an inning, and he's going to have a whip below 1, and he's going to have an ERA of 2. I would give my left arm for that just to have 1 year of that. And he's just like, this guy's dusted out here. I'm like, that's Cy Young conversation. Like,
Right.
we're underestimating greatness, and I'm just like, it's just crazy. I mean, he had a ERA at 4.5 last year. It probably is toast. So I'm like, just last year he was still super good at baseball in his 130 innings. And so if he does throw 130 innings, I'm not gonna want to say don't do it, because I don't know how he does it. So it's just Clayton Kershaw. I don't get it. The man is like, he signed a 1-year deal for $7.5 million. If he throws 130 innings and has 150 strikeouts, that's what he's going to probably do. Like, just to tell you that. Like, this is probably what he's going to be. He's going to probably throw 100 innings and have that 140 strikeouts and a 2 whip or 2 ERA. And he just keeps doing it. So he's 130th pitcher. I'm just saying, like, spot starts 2-start week against some easy pitchers. Do it, because he's not going to get you quality starts, but he'll probably get you 2 wins. He'll go 5 and dive. He's just Blake Snell. Just older Blake Snell. Like, Blake Snell's a little healthier, but not much healthier.
Yeah.
He'll probably play like 20 to 30 more innings, and they'll be just as good. Maybe even actually worse. But that's just the craziest part about it. I think that's the narrative's bit of more than anything. If you just looked at his actual numbers, he's like next to Max Meyer of Miami, and I'm like, that's not a thing.
Right.
Years, I'm like, that's insulting. I'm like, just based off sheer ratios, I like. It's just ridiculous, but it's just Clayton Kershaw. I get it. I get why. I won't roster him, but like, man.
Put him on that watch list.
I mean, honestly, though, if you got a 2-start week and he's playing the NL Central, you got to do it. You really have to, like, at this point in his career.
Oh, yeah.
Because he probably won't get another 2-start week during the season, but that 2-start week's going to be a 2 ERA, and he's going to strike out a guy in inning over a guy in inning. Like,
here's the pro tip: if you're on Fantrax, he's probably not drafted, and he's a free agent. You pick him up directly to the IL. That's the only platform that allows that. Everyone else, you gotta you gotta get him on the bench and then IL, and then get someone back to the bench. So that's the pro tip there. I found another guy in the same vein as Bubba Chandler, Jackson Jobe. If he, again, playing time question, but if he's, playing, start at least come.
What number is he at?
98.
Oh, I missed that. Okay, yep, there he is.
But dude, I mean, like, kind of stands out in terms of someone has him high as 47th. Like, that person thinks he's starting at the end of April or early May. So, and if he does that, he absolutely deserves to be right next to like Bubba Chandler type of thought process vibe.
Yep. I missed Jackson Jobe. I was looking, I was like, we must have talked about him. I was like, we must have talked about him, but I guess we didn't. Like, oh, okay.
I think so. If you go to Fantasy Pros, I think once you get to about 60, actually exactly 60, because that's Spencer Aaron Getty, and he has that standard deviation of 10. That's like the first double digit, and then you're starting to see a lot of double digit ones. Like, it's like, take your guy. Like, we're at like 5 starting pitchers apiece at that point in the spread. I mean, not talking about average draft position, but like if you have a 12-team league, have 5 of them, you're at 60, and then like, what do you need? Maybe 2 or 3 flyers. Take your dude. There's a lot of names in the mix, and like,
deviation is 41.
Dang, is he still in Detroit?
66. He is. Yeah.
Well, there you go, Job. You have a starting job. Maya is still there. No, he's got to be coming out of the bullpen now, right? Roster resource.
Last year, but
Tigers.
I mean, is he going to start there?
Scroll. Scooble, Flaherty, Olsen, Mize, Maeda. Wow.
But it's one of those, like, it's kind of like I think with the Mariners in their second base situation, it's you're there for now.
Yeah.
But when it's the time, look at the flowers, as we say.
Yeah.
You are holding the spot warm for somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're coming up on an hour and a half. I think that
I think
that
that's
was pretty good.
pretty Gucci.
Um, anyone 100 or larger, not that, and we haven't had talked about them yet, that you would just totally take a flyer on. Does any names stand out?
No, I am scrolling too. I am way too far down. Like, why do I keep scrolling? Oh, Sean, stop doing it. You're not gonna find anything better. Let's keep going back up. I
I think I found one. I was trying to find someone better, but
I don't want to get like 101, but let me see here. Yeah, keep okay. Who do you got?
I gotta go back up to find him. It was Kramer. Where's he at? Dean Kramer, 118, Baltimore. Um, I would totally throw a flyer on him, or 15 team link. I think I stashed him as a bench piece or something like that. Yeah, I'm I'm ready for him to be back and healthy, and Baltimore starting pitcher, and based on like the you know stats and ratios that he's put up when he's been healthy, and um, I totally I'd totally be fine with a ERA around 4 and a WHIP somewhere in the 1.2 to 1.3 like as my flyer. Like
Yeah,
he showed us quite a bit of upside, so I'm like, that name stood out to me being way down here.
I mean it's kind of the same vein. Um, I'm looking for like a category I can get, and a guy's not gonna hurt me. I think Marcus Stroman's gonna hurt me a lot, and he's gonna get a lot of wins in New York.
Mm.
So I think his 4.3 ERA last year was a little high. I think it'll come down, probably, like you said, 3.8. And he's gonna give me
Hmm.
some wins. Like, he's not gonna strike out a ton of people, but I mean, we're getting down here. I mean, like, who am I getting down here
Oh,
that's gonna
right.
strike out a ton of people? And if I could get a solid ERA and a bunch of wins or quality starts, I'll take it down here.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Also noticed Cody, where'd he go? 105, Cody Bradford. He started off so strong, and then he injured, and then he never really came back, if I remember right, in Texas. And I stashed him on the IL thinking he would, but
I'm
I didn't. We haven't seen enough, so I'm
Yeah.
like,
I'm just
past
not a big
100.
Ranger guy. I'm just a Ranger hater, I guess.
True,
I just
true.
the Rangers for the last 2 years, they're always all these guys are like, bam, here's like 2 good months, and I'm like, okay, do something else, and they're like, no, that's it, and I'm like, no, you got to do it again. They're like, no,
Yeah.
and I'm like, guys, like, am I the one taking crazy pills here? Like, like just do it for more than 2 months, and then I'll buy it. But like, you gotta do it. And then
Uh,
we're 3 years later, and some guy's like, "This guy's still gonna be the guy." I'm like, "No, like he did it. They won the World Series 2 years ago. Like what? No, like he had a playoff run in the two world. No, you've got to do something in the last 2 years. Stop.
mhm.
Like I need you to
And
do something."
And
But
before I forget, you kind of almost keyed in on something that I just heard recently. I kind of liked, and I never really thought of before. You're like, give me someone who's elite at a certain category type of vibe, right? Is that what you just kind of said?
yeah, they'll give me a category. Yeah,
Yeah. And someone was talking about that. I think I was listening to Justin Mason on a podcast recently, and he was like, but he was sharing this mantra from someone else he just heard of, and it's like, I got 5 bench spots. Every bench spot, unless it's like a complete like value, and I
yeah,
want it, I need it. If I'm really stuck, okay, find someone who's an elite at one category, a minimum, if not
yep,
two. And it was like, if there's someone there, and it's just like he is just stolen bases, and that's only he's good at least he can contribute something in case whatever,
something else happens.
and
Yeah,
like he's all power and that's it, or he's a ton of strikeout upside, but the ratio, you never know. The
yep,
ratios, especially for pitchers, like those guys are the most, volatile in terms of how much they can improve in one off season, and
yep,
everything. So I thought that was a really interesting thought process. When in doubt, just someone who's a lead at something, and maybe they got a
yeah,
little bit better about all the little other things. So I was
yep.
like, oh,
Stroman is gonna start in New York, and they're gonna win baseball games. I mean, he's not gonna kill you. He's not an awful starter, and he's gonna start for a team who's gonna score some runs,
yeah.
probably. So I was like, let's see if he can get me some W's. That's it. Let's go with that. All right, sweet. Hour and a half. I figured it was gonna be an hour and a half for pitchers.
Woo! Okay, cool. That was it. Are we doing relief pitchers next week?
We could do kind of a relief pitcher / some other stuff if we want.
DH. No, I'm just kidding.
I want to talk about it because like I feel like the relief pitchers. In the past I'd be like, oh, before round 8 or something like that, top 100, not even talking about it. I'm talking about it now because relief pitchers value is going up, starter pitchers going down, just because relievers are pitching more innings, starters are pitching less innings.
Mm-hmm.
So they are more valuable as time goes on. So I think it is like the past, like, oh, 10th round I'll finally start taking my guys, or 8th round or 9th round. Now it's like, around 6, 7, these guys are throwing a lot of innings, like throwing a lot of innings, like Clayton Kershaw innings. So like, and even better, some of them have like a 0.6 ERA. So
yeah,
it's like, oh, you got to take notice now. So yeah, I think we should talk. We don't have to spend as much time. It could be like half an episode, but like some of the relief pitchers need to be talked about probably.
That's a really good point.
Pretend like maybe even more than that. You could talk about some guys, but we get to the bottom 10. There's like whoever's gonna get some saves at the start.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah, let's do it. We'll bundle it into some relief pitchers and something else. So stay tuned. But yeah, that's starting pitchers.
Love it.
I'm ready for baseball to start. Like spring training stats. I think there's been enough games. Gonna go see if there's any diamonds in the rough. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So cool. All right. Well, he's Sean. I'm JT. You can find us at Fancy Dad Pods. Let us know. Tweet at us. Comment. However you're listening to this podcast, what you think about our kind of overall thoughts and rankings. Otherwise, keep listening. We thank you for joining us. But take care. Be well. And until next time, see ya.
See ya.